What's good? It's your esoteric Essa, aka your esoteric homegirl Jasmine, back on the YouTube channel, and it's been a minute. Thank you for joining me. Today in this video, hot topic, I'm gonna talk about Uranus in Taurus, Capricorn, Saturn in Capricorn transitioning into Saturn in Aquarius, how this is affecting the collective, how this is affecting you specifically, me specifically, how it's affecting collectively our spiritual shift, especially in how we've traditionally seen spirituality and the work that we've done in spirituality. This Mercury retrograde that we are wrapping up, which ends on March 10th, I have noticed has really risen a lot of emotional triggers by within ourselves, especially those of us who are quote unquote doing the work and who are invested in fulfilling our healing journey and being spiritual healers, spiritual practitioners. Well, there is a huge trigger caused by Uranus in Taurus, by Saturn in Capricorn, now headed into Aquarius. Why? Uranus in Taurus challenges our values, our ethics, the way we see money, the way we work with money, the way we make money, ethically, our values, right? Shifting. Uranus is a planet of being revolutionary. It's radical. It's out the box. It's different. It is really changing energetically how we're operating from a mental construct, okay? How we're viewing and perceiving things. With Saturn in Capricorn, and those of us like myself, we're wrapping up our Saturn return. It's been a really good go, right? Woo! It's been a fucking roller coaster. Oops, I cussed on YouTube. But now that Saturn is going into Aquarius, this is yet another radical revolutionary energy, because as you know, one of the traditional rulers of Aquarius is Uranus, but also Saturn. So Saturn feels really comfortable not only being in Capricorn, but working its way into Aquarius. Okay, so what we're doing as a collective with this transition is we're understanding, or we're at least transitioning into trying to figure out my life mission, the individual. Aquarius is all about individuality, right? It's all about authenticity, and it's a very spiritual energy. It's spiritual revolution. It's figuring out, how am I connected to the divine? How is my life much more spiritually in tune with the direction that I want to go? So being Saturn in Aquarius is all about people, friends, family, people you don't even know, wanting to figure out how they can find their place of individuality in the collective, in the tribe, in the community, because Aquarius is the humanitarian. It's all about thinking of community, collaboration, the tribe, the village. How can I help contribute to the village? How can I help the village bring in the food? What's my role in the community? And so this is why everyone's so inspired, so enlightened right now. We're trying to figure out, where does spirituality fit in my role? Is it making a new jewelry line? Is it now going to classes and learning how to be a yoga instructor? Do I want to be a curandero? You know, do I want to get into astrology? And so this is really challenging the traditional mindset of the spiritual community. Much of, and I say this with respect, this is just a video of educational awareness and to spark healthy dialogue, okay? But much of traditionally what we have seen as spiritual culture, whether in shamanism, whether in really anything, when you're learning to be an instructor, a healer, you go through courses. It's a process of initiation, right? It's a process of learning and studying and being guided by your elders or people who are mentors. And now that we live in the digital age, the age of the Aquarius, everyone is using that tool to their resource in such a beautiful way to educate themselves, to make themselves aware of how they can now tailor that knowledge and integrate it into their role of individuality, to the contribution of society. And this is challenging, it's challenging the spiritual community, those of us who are spiritual practitioners and healers, to figure out with Uranus and Taurus, how am I now going to make my money? That's affecting me. So now my money's changing. And that's what Uranus and Taurus does. It changes the way money flows into you. Not even just me and you, but also the government and stocks. It's just a collective shift. Okay, so that it's triggering shadow work from ego, shadow work from insecurity, shadow work from feeling insignificant. And this has to happen because we're working through those constructs as we're building new tradition with Uranus and Taurus, with Saturn and Aquarius. So rather than resisting, and myself included, I found myself going through these emotional triggers. And it's like, how are we going to adapt? Because this is the age of adaptability. How are we going to be fluid? How are we creating the new generation of spiritual healing, the new concept of spiritual healing? How can we merge tradition and the past? Because we respect that and we value that. We understand and we honor the position that takes in doing ethical work, because, Taurus is all about ethics, right? And how do I adapt into the age of the Aquarius, where everyone is now enlightened, everyone is now seeking consciousness, everyone now is approaching a spiritual outlook on life, which is beautiful. And what does that do? That triggers our insecurities. That triggers, where do we fit? Again, our role in society. It's not necessarily, oh, I need to hoard now and this is taking money away from me and I'm upset. And yes, we also need to be mindful of appreciating the traditions and what it goes into learning and being a healer, a practitioner, the work, the hard work, and that's where society also is going to go through this interesting phase where we might even lose touch and lose sight of respect and ethics and understanding ethically. Speak on knowledge, and this goes like with everyday life, right? Speak on knowledge that you can speak to, that you're aware of enough, that you're knowledgeable enough, that you've learned ethically, right? And so this is why so many of us are feeling this really intense trigger of, what the that's really it in a nutshell. I hope I really integrated everything I had to integrate. It's challenging. It's going to challenge us because we're shifting collectively. How are we still going to merge respect with tradition, with revolution, with innovation? And this is going to be an interesting time. And those of us who are at the, in this community as practitioners and healers, whatever you identify as, intuitives, empaths, mediums, shamans, energy healers, light workers, this is bringing a new aspect of shadow work for us to work through, of our ego, right? Knowledge is to be shared. I've always said that. We don't own anything. This is all owned by spirit, universal intelligence. And we are simply here activating that universal intelligence with the audiences and people and tribe and communities that we have been cosmically tasked with to share and disseminate that information, to spark that creative mind, to spark that new idea, right? I keep getting that quote from Tupac, I'm not the one that's going to change the world, but I'm going to be the one that's going to spark that idea in the individual who is going to change it. And this is the role that all of us here Lightworking are playing collectively. Yes, we're contributing and we're changing the world, but really the work we're doing is beyond us and beyond the ego, beyond what we own, beyond our lane. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, it's tough because you're doing profound shadow work. It's an aspect of your ego that is being triggered, that we're, like, that needs to really empathetically be looked at and honored and tended to, as we kind of shift into what is our role in this ever-changing society where everyone's an expert, everyone's an entrepreneur, everyone's a business owner, everyone is spiritual, everyone's a healer, right? And in an aspect, yes, everyone is an extension of that. But it's interesting. I hope you found this helpful. Drop a comment. Is your Saturn in Capricorn or in Aquarius? Because either way, it's going to be crazy. We are really going to shift into some, digitally, technologically advancements in as a society, but also spiritually and consciously, because with the Aquarius energy, it's all about tapping into the ethereal and bringing that with Saturn, bringing the ethereal into the 3D and bringing that into practical, everyday Earth energy. And there's going to be a lot of inventions, people coming up with really out-of-the-box ideas, important ideas. And so it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of it. Anyways, hit the like, subscribe. I love you. Check me out on Instagram, esoteric_SL, or my Patreon, or my podcast, Better Work Bitch. Love you guys. I'm out.